What's going on, y'all? My name is Jay Faith, and this is the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast, where we just sit down, make connections through conversations, and try to connect people and, help them grow with everything that they're doing in their lives and just be able to relate with other people. Make sure you follow us, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all those wonderful platforms that we all have at least one of them on. So make sure you check us out, follow us. But enough about me, enough about the pod. Today we are here with our first in-person, in the new home guest. So I want to formally welcome my homie from Minds of One Collective Genius, Just for Kicks. What's going on, man?
What's up? It's great to be here, man. This 41st studio is super sick. So glad that I could be the first one in the studio to record the podcast with, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. I'm glad to have you. I mean, obviously, just, fellow member of Minds of One Collective Genius, being a part of it for this past couple of years now, and just, coming along that journey to now being here, starting another, piece of that, being a part of that. Obviously, we've kind of combined the Right Mind with Minds of One Collective Genius. So it's good to have the two kind of be compared and combined together.
Yeah, dude, Minds of One. That's what it's all about. I mean,
exactly.
Love everything you've been doing with it too.
Thanks, man. So what's been going on with you, man? I know you've had quite the run as of recently with just a lot of different things that you've been working on, albums and videos and things like that.
Yeah, the past year has been definitely crazy. Got off of the first tour that I've ever been on, along with Chris Webby and Dizzy Wright, as well as Echo. But yeah, coming back from that was definitely like a total shock to the system. Having to kind of like re-enter regular life again, still working on music. And I started using TikTok a lot more. So I started utilizing TikTok a lot more. My roommate, Ready Set Toast, he was able to really help me a lot with managing TikTok and how to, use the actual app, because I was pretty much new to it. It was just some advice that Echo said on tour. He was like, dude, if you're not already killing it on TikTok, like, what are you doing with your time? Like, that is how you reach people these days. So it's been interesting to try to learn that app. And it's definitely time consuming as well.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's it's another platform that you have to conquer, or is it something that you just feel like, I just got to do it and let's just knock this out?
Yeah, so what's been helpful is that Instagram has Reels now. So you can kind of double dip. If you can figure out TikTok and their algorithms and everything, and then, what makes an entertaining piece of short form media, then you can put that on both TikTok and Instagram Reels. And the good thing about Instagram Reels is they're trying to get more people to use it. So the algorithms are actually more in your favor than your typical posts on Instagram.
No, for sure. No, that definitely makes a lot of sense too. What was it like going on tour, especially something that big, compared to, just kind of setting up your own tour, but actually following kind of a major artist? Yeah,
it was a complete dream come true, especially to be touring with, Chris Webby, because that was the guy that I basically modeled a lot of my career after. Saw that, he was just a dude from the suburbs of New England, and if he could have a rap career, then it was definitely possible.
Yeah.
So to have him take me out on tour was insane. The crowds were amazing. To have people, singing to your songs with you and like a harmonious crowd cheer it's a feeling like on nothing other. But yeah, it's that kind of high that you feel comes with a low when you get back.
Right. It's like the journey is over. It's like, what do I do now? Like the adrenaline, the energy drink is finally worn off.
Exactly.
And you're like, okay, like what's the motive now? Like, what am I doing?
And for people that tour all year round, they're just very used to that cycle. But for me, it was the first time crash. And certainly watching everybody else head back out on tour in spring, and that was something that I couldn't quite afford to do, because the way to really pay your way through hotels and everything is earning merchandise sales. So we were obviously thankful enough that there were some fans out there that bought merch. If you were one of those fans on the Inappropriate tour that bought some merch from Mine's One Collective Genius or Just for Kicks. Thank you so much, because it went a long way to get us around the country.
Yeah, that's dope, man. Like, I remember just watching, like, the clips and stuff. Like, you guys just literally just running around with your heads cut off.
Yeah,
like
it was nuts.
Show to show prep to end of show to going to the next stop, and
it's a very like wake up repeat situation. You wake up very early in a hotel room, kind of in a daze from the night before, and then you hop in a car and you drive anywhere from like 4 to 6 hours to the next city, and then it's time to load in. You take all your merch out of the trailer and set up a table, and then they sound check, and then all of a sudden VIP people are showing up. You're taking pictures with them, you're signing things, and then it's time to hop on stage, do your thing. We party all night. It's like a concert every single night,
right?
And then you crash at the hotel room and wake up. You do it all over again.
That's a process, man. But I'm glad you were able to do that, especially with somebody that you have grown up with, inspired you as an artist, I'm sure, with everything that you do with your music. Like, how did like the Webby connection kind of start? Because I know like this has been like a long going thing with, connecting with Webby, like really being involved with him and things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, I think anything good takes time, obviously, in music in general. Anybody in the independent side of things will tell you that it's a 10-year process. I haven't been in it for 10 years, but, I'm still on that 10-year journey. The way that I met Webby was, obviously being a big fan since I was like 16 years old, but starting in music, I actually had a co-worker at the 99 that I worked at. So originally I was making music with my buddy Clueless, and he actually has been dipping his toes back into some music. He's going to be rebranding himself as well, which is very refreshing to keep an eye out for that. But we worked at the 99 restaurant at the time, which for you New Englanders know that's
the Nines,
a great place to grab a bite to eat. But my coworker there, she had a brother that was an audio engineer, and she said, you guys are great at rapping, you should work with my brother. And we were like, well, we're not just ready yet. We had just shot our first like iPhone music videos. We were recording in my basement at the time before the studio was actually built. So we were just kind of getting our bearings. And then come to find out, the studio that he had worked for was also the studio that recorded video for some of the more well-known artists that were in Massachusetts and New England as a whole. So people like Token and Joyner Lucas. So I immediately put two and two together, saw the logos, and just said, well, I think I need to step in the studio.
Right, yeah.
And so I recorded a song called Hippity Hop with an engineer, Mike Leclerc, who goes by Ammo. And then I started, talking to the director that was in the same studio, which is Ben Prue.
Yep.
And that man I owe a lot to. He simply, very simply, was willing to work with me on a project, and I was very excited about it. We made an awesome music video, but upon shooting that music video, the camera operator at the time, Trevor Finney, asked Ben, he said, Ben, you're always working with somebody new. Who are you working with now?
Yeah.
He said, well, Chris Webby's been calling me. And I was like, hold on.
Hold the phone. Hold on.
That's my favorite rapper of all time. So, you got to introduce me whenever he comes by the studio. Just give me a call. I'll come by. And so our music video came out. Hippity Hop was released. Months passed, and I didn't really have much of a relationship with Ben. We just kind of hit it off while we shot a music video, but we weren't very close. And so he did call me months later, just randomly, and I answered my phone. I was at work, and he said, Chris Webby's at the studio. You said to give you a call. Come on by. Just simple as that. And so I did, and then I was very appreciative of all that, so I helped him, helped out with the music video, that sort of thing. Me and Webby just hit it off, and then next thing I know, when next time he came to perform in New Hampshire, which is my home state, he was calling me up to say, I want you to open for me. So that was how that, relationship went from me just making appearances in music videos with him to, as an artist that he was having perform on the same show. And then the fans just really took to it. So then come, a couple years later, after we got through the pandemic, then it was time to go on tour, and that was, the time of my life, easily to say.
But it's a process, man. Like I can't like you saying it there like sounds like it's 5 minutes, but it's
I
like
mean, for the interest of time,
yeah,
I a lot of details, but I mean,
you know what I'm saying. It's like
it's a constant thing, man. I mean, I was lucky enough to have someone in my network connect me to an idol of mine, but beyond that personal relationship, this is still a business, right? So often I still have to now go through Webby's manager, Chris Fury, who's a very, very great dude, giving me a lot of opportunity. But that's the thing is that, you know, even if Webby wants to help out people he likes, there's still a chain of command that needs to go through to set up logistics and those sorts of things. So shout out to Chris Fury for running a lot of that throughout tour and giving me opportunities since. They just came by on the East Coast, and while we were up in Vermont, he gave me a little bit of time to go out there and do my thing. So all the people that had seen the show the year prior were able to see me again on stage, and that was a very exciting moment for the both of us, me and the fans.
For sure. So was that video the one with the bunny suit? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, so the first music video that we shot, a lot of people know me as the bunny from his Weirdo music video.
Okay, yeah.
But prior to that, the very first one that I helped out on was Nightcrawler. So he plays a werewolf, and there's a team of zombies that attack my friends and I, and those friends actually being Clueless and also 13 Ball. So we were standing around a fire. A bunch of zombies come out, completely maul us, and rip our guts out. And it was a great time. I was covered in like fake blood for like 2 days after that, and I couldn't quite wash off.
People probably asking me like, "Dude, are you okay?"
Yeah. I showed up to work the next day like without showering because we just went right into sunrise. And then I was like, "Oh well, I'm gonna be late if I stop home and shower." So I just kind of showed up like all tore up and bloody, and they were like, "What happened to you?"
You're like, "All right, we're here."
Just a video shoot. I'll do my job now.
Yeah, right. Was that at the Nines too?
No.
Okay.
I don't think they would have let me serve.
That's true.
I worked at a desk job for a staffing agency for a little bit.
Okay, so you're behind the scenes.
Event coordination
and stuff.
Exactly.
So they were like, "Okay, I guess we can let it slide." For a little.
If there was a Zoom meeting that day, I probably would have. Had to block the webcam a little bit.
Slightly frowned upon.
Right.
Yours would have just been the name, just directly across.
Classic.
That's funny. And then that bunny suit has made other appearances too.
Yes.
From what I've seen, I did peep that.
So along with, I like to make appearances in music videos for everyone in the local scene here in New England. So amongst other rapping music videos that Bunny Suit has made an appearance in, it's also in an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
And it was called Hubie Halloween. It was a Netflix Halloween movie. And there's just a scene at a diner that you can briefly see the bunny walks in because everyone was in Halloween garb. And it's funny, the guy that I met there, Mike, was another extra as well, and he was dressed up like, I believe, a zombie. And so he had some face makeup on and stuff. So we're sitting across the table from each other. That whole scene is like over Adam Sandler's shoulder is just Mike the whole time. But I'm just off frame. It was, it was ironic, and all I could do was laugh at it. But it's funny the split second that
it's just
you
the
can see
experience.
the bunny suit. It was so much fun. I mean, Adam Sandler's a great guy. And a lot of his friends, I mean, you could just tell when they were on break eating sandwiches, they were just jamming to like 80s rock music. And I'm like, you guys have been doing this the same way backstage for 20 years. Like,
nothing's changed.
Yeah, and they're just still all great friends. And like Rob Schneider, wicked nice guy, who treated my girlfriend and her friend absolutely fantastically while we were shooting. And just a bunch of genuine guys just making art, which is all we ever do, and it was cool to see that on such a high level.
Yeah. So it's like, it's definitely about the connections, like making those connections with different people.
Yeah, I mean,
help foster those opportunities.
Networking is like 90% of it. I think that I've obviously had the success that I've had just based off of being in the right place at the right time and making sure that I open my mouth and make a conversation with somebody that I don't already know. As opposed to necessarily skill level, because there are so many very, very incredibly talented artists and entertainers out of New England that just have not got the same opportunities as I have because they maybe just weren't at the right place at the right time while or talking to the right people. I met Tech Nine's merch guy at this last show that they had in Worcester. So I was at the Webby show just helping out. I helped out with the merch table there, see some fans and whatnot. Because the regular merch guy, Sturgis, he ended up performing. He opened that night. So he's a very, very talented kid. Check him out. His name's Sturgis. But basically, while he was up on stage, I covered merch for him. And then I got chatting with Ritz merch guy, who was Tech Nine's merch guy. He's going back out with him in spring. And he was saying that he might need somebody to run CDs for him. So it's just one of those things that, like, you never know what kind of opportunities you can get just by making conversation with somebody.
Yeah, it's just another foot in the door, and then, you show up and, they see that you're a genuine person, which you are. Obviously, I know that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, but they see those kind of things, and then they're like, okay, like, this is a genuine dude. It's not just some dude that's here for, like, the bandwagon, or, like, yeah, you're trying to get your foot in the door because it is a business and you're trying to get yourself out there, but it, like, goes beyond that. It's not just, like, I'm genuinely here to, like, help support.
Yeah. I mean, it has to come from, like, an authentic place because people can sniff that out easily if you're just there for yourself. But there's also something to be said where, like, it is understood that everyone wants to succeed and do well in an industry. So the thing is that somebody helped whoever is in that position that you want to be in get in that position. And they're actually happy to be that person to help you get into that position as well. If you just talk to them about it. And so you'd be surprised at how many people will give a helping hand simply because you asked. And if you have something to offer in return, then it just makes sense.
Yeah, it's a dope feeling. Like, I literally just went through that myself because, like, my pastor, he's trying to, like, make music now, kind of get back into it. Like, he's a super dope drummer. May have him actually, like, back a couple of my stuff, but, like, he was trying to figure out, like, the whole program. He's got the same program that I do, and he's like, dude, I can't, like, figure this out. And then, like, we were looking at all the settings or whatever, and then finally, like, just fixed a couple of things, showed him where the stuff was, and he was like, dude, like, now I can, like, really get going on, like, what I want to do. And, like, to me, it's like, no, I'm not, like, in the recording process with it, and, like, mixing and mastering or just recording him in general. He's like, all right, I'm just going to take it and just go on my own. But, like, the feeling of knowing that he can go and do that now is, like, such a dope feeling for me. So, like, for people like that,
something new,
so for people that, you talk with and being in those positions to help somebody out, like, it's such a dope feeling.
Yeah, I mean, and I definitely, we're speaking from experience saying that, like, you want to help somebody once you're in that position because that's what we do with Minds One Collective Genius.
Right.
We're always trying to, like, pass that knowledge or, new thing that we learned on to somebody that might need to know that, and it could do wonders for them, teaching them that years before you ever found out.
Right.
So.
And that's one thing that I wanted to say, like, to you is because, like, especially being part of Minds One Collective Genius, and, like, I think something that a lot of people don't understand or, like, feel like it's, I don't know what's the word, like, I'm looking for, but, like, obviously, like, you're younger than I am, but, like, I gain a lot of knowledge from you, based on experiences that you've had, in the music industry, being connected and just, like, learning from you. So it's like, it just goes to say, like, it's one of those things. It doesn't matter necessarily the age of the person. They're all, people are always saying, oh, like, you got to learn from your elders, but, like, there are people that are younger than you that can still pass on knowledge to some of the older people, especially, like, nowadays where things are changing so frequently.
That's just such a good point.
Such a good point. And so it's like you got to pick up on the younger people because they're going to be able to help you navigate these newer platforms, like, like TikTok and stuff, and whatever else is going on, really fixing in on the YouTubes and, things like that, So, just giving, like, credit to you for, especially being a part of the team and, really educating me on a lot of different things, things that we can't really say on air right now because they're not
haven't come to fruition yet, but we're always working behind the scenes. So
Yeah. So it's just it just goes to show, like, take advice from people. Don't look at somebody just because they're maybe younger than you or feel like they don't have as much experience as you, that you can't learn something from them. So
yeah, the idea of open-mindedness, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why our logos look the way that they do, because it's all about keeping an open mind. Because you're right, like, just because someone's younger, you may think that they don't have as much life experience, or no, I've been in this industry X amount of years longer than you. Right. It's like, young people really know what's going on, especially with tech, especially with like the internet, like anything like that. So like they can teach you so much more, and as long as you keep an open mind to understand that, somebody's age or any other, thing that defines them to your eyes, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not more educated in a certain specific field, and that you could learn something from them. Exactly. Whether that's like, in like intellect or wisdom, anything. There's so much to learn from all kinds of different people out there.
Yeah, I'm always just trying to pick different things up. That's why I like having these conversations, like doing this podcast. Like I just pick up like so many different things, and I'm like, I never really thought of that. Okay, now I'm definitely gonna try to see how I can incorporate it. Making it my own. But just kind of incorporating it into my own kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, something that's super valuable is being able to talk to people that think differently than you. So different ways of thinking. Because what you just said of like, oh, I never really thought about it like that. Mm-hmm. Like we don't think of anything except for the way that we think of it until somebody else can turn your head and make you realize that there's other ways to perceive the reality that we live in. And you can kind of expand your mind and realize, oh wait, there's another way of looking at this, and grow from that.
And that's why, like, I feel like people probably think that I'm crazy. Like, anytime I'm around people, like, one of the things that I like to do is just share my music. And it's not because, like, hey, like, check it out. But for me, it's more like, check it out. But it's
track, by the way.
Right. It is still a great track. And the remix is a dope track, too. But for me, it's more like I do it because like I want to get that. I want to get that feedback. Mm-hmm. Like I want like more ears on it, especially like aging into the music industry myself. Like I need more ears on it because again, you just get so fixated on your own way of thinking and how you perceive it, and it's like you need to get those extra ears because then there's those people like I just finished up a new song. And I played it for my pastor, and he's like, dude, like, I would do some dope, like, drums on that. Like, so, like, let's strip all the drums. Like, he's like, the song is dope, but let's strip the drums, and I'll do some live drums, and I think it's going to sound even better. I'm like, I never would have thought of that.
Yeah.
In that moment, like, thinking that, like, I don't have that resource or type of thing. And he was like, yeah, I could do that. So, like, just having those extra ears, and, like, I remember another instance was, like, just before D. Dwilly had left for Oregon, I was recording Dad's Flow. I don't know if you remember that song. Yeah. And I was struggling. Like, I was struggling trying to figure it out. And he was like, dude, like, I do it this way. And, like, sometimes I'll stand back and, like...
He's taught me a lot
like, yell.
In booth, how to rap on a microphone. He's taught me a lot of that.
Yeah, well. And he's like, I'll stand, like, 30 feet away and just yell into the microphone and do this and that. And I was like, that's such, like, just a dope perspective of way of doing things. So now, like, I incorporate it all the time. And it's like, it's added so much more to it just by having those conversations and just picking up and being open to hearing somebody else's perspective.
Yeah, because you guys can make like very different music, but the recording process is something that he's very helpful with. Shout out D. Dwilly. Dude's super talented. He one time we were recording, 13 Bill was recording something for us, and he noticed that like typically my live performance has a lot more energy than when I'm in the booth. And so he stood in front of the microphone, so I was rapping to him instead of rapping just at a microphone.
Yeah.
And it really changed my performance. I was like, wow, that was something I never would have thought of.
Yeah. Because like I get super I'll admit it, I get super uncomfortable when other people in the room when I record. Like, I'm so used to recording by myself in the basement, like doing it by myself. And then like, even when I'm at MoCG, I'm like, that's why we do multiple takes now because that was something that I got from you of just like, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. Like, let's get a couple takes. But it takes me a couple takes to get comfortable and to settle in, even with a bunch of people. Like, even when I go with Mertz at the bridge, it takes me a couple takes to just really get comfortable. And then I'm like, okay, like now I can really like find my groove. And these are songs that like I've rehearsed like 1,000 times.
Right.
But as
Yeah,
soon as
you know
put
the lyrics.
10 other people in the room, you're like, but that's part of the game, part of the challenge.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I still do it. I still freeze up in front of the mic and, you know, start overthinking things that aren't just what I'm doing in the moment. But, you know, when once it clicks, you get something down that's totally fire, you're definitely happy with it.
Yeah, for sure. I want to take a step back, so because I'm kind of interested. So, Minds of One Collective Genius, like, what was the process of like really creating that? Like, what? I know the process. That's for sure. I know the intent is obviously to connect people together, but like, what kind of, I guess, inspired the idea to be like, hey, like, I want to put a collective together and obviously like shout out to 13 Ball. This is, you know, him as well as far as being a founder. I don't want to.
Yeah, that's where I was going to start. Is that you know, 13 Ball had this grandiose idea, something that I would have never like fathomed, but he had the concept in mind of like a super group called the Minds of One Collective Genius that would be, you know, a group of talented artists that all work together towards a common goal. Mm-hmm. So, you know, taking that idea, you know, with that in mind, we started having just friends that all would go to the same rap shows together, and we kind of started moving as a herd. And it was actually right up the road at Carlo Rose, Cody Pope. Shout out Cody Pope. He would hold Misery Loves Company shows and the Idiosyncratic. And so we did a lot of shows through him, and we started having kind of like this friend group that always rapped together. So we started forming that little super group, and you know, the idea was that eventually it would grow into more and more people, and just started spreading. And that's basically what happened over the course of the last 6 years or so. We just met artists like yourself that were super driven, talented, and we knew that, okay, this is somebody that's not just really good at rapping one day and gonna like just go and decide to take a different life path the next. People that we wanted, people that were in it for the long haul, because this is something that takes years and years to do, and sometimes with very little, you know, reward, depending on how you look at it. So you want somebody that's absolutely dedicated for life. And speaking of which, you introduced us to Life, and so he was another person to join on, as well as, you know, Etheric, B-Snare, these people that weren't just buddies of mine from high school or anything. We met them through music, and knew that the type of person that you are, you know, spoke volumes. And, and like Chemic and Aaron Brown, all the way to our most recent edition of Mo Flow, which was something that you actually brought to us, which was a really cool moment. For a while, it was kind of Ian and I handpicking people, and then checking with the rest of the collective, saying, you know, are these people that, you know, you think would make a good fit? But for you to, you know, come to us and say, you know, I think MoFlo would be a good fit, was awesome, because now it's taking a life of its own. The collective, it's growing itself, which is ultimately that dream, and he was like the first step in that happening, which is really, really cool. I'm so glad that he's on the team now, because we were able to do a show at Fisher Cat Stadium, which is
dope show.
My home state's you know, baseball stadium. So to do a show there, That's so crazy that you guys all performed, and I'm really liking everything he's doing. Helped out with a music video that Crispy Pick shot for him. It's still in the editing phase, but it's going to be such a banger when it drops.
Yeah, for sure.
I just like that, the whole team has been working together and sharing our ideas.
And that was, and what was dope, I mean, at least to me, was he was doing all of that, and, to shout out MoFlo, is he was doing all that before he was even a part of Minds One Collective Genius.
Yes. Oh,
and
yeah.
he was just like, dude, like, I'm just trying to put people on and.
Yeah, there's a type of person, you know what I mean, that we look for, and he was doing all of those things on his own, like not looking for anything specific, just was out there grinding, not for himself, but for the community, and that was something that we were like, yeah, that fits like a glove. Yeah, so.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's definitely been a journey. I've seen, for Minds of One Collective Genius, just in my time being there. So I can only imagine trying to build up that brand as a collective with a bunch of different people and personalities, and trying to keep all that together, to really put on a brand.
Yeah, it's definitely been kind of like a social experiment. When you go and work for any company, they have their ideals that they exist by, and if you don't fit that, then you don't stay in that company or what have you. And so what we were trying to do as an artist collective is, nobody's each other's boss. Everyone's an independent artist that works for themselves, but working together as equals.
Yeah.
And the idea that we all want to, help each other and share ideas and everything and help each other grow just has led to, rather than, 2 heads are better than 1, well, like 17 heads are better than that.
Right.
And you can grow a lot faster, but to take a concept that 13 Ball just was describing, it's like a brain hatching from the earth, and then Q Quick went and designed this actual logo that we've seen today. Now that logo being represented, worn by so many bigger artists, like everybody that we went on tour with, Webby, Dizzy, Echo, they all wore our merchandise, and great dudes for that. And now we're seeing it spread. Like, one of the places we hit on tour was Columbus, Ohio, at this place called Scully's Music Diner. And I noticed that was also going to be one of the places that Life is going to be touring as well.
Dope.
So to know that, that brain earth symbol, that Minds of One Collective Genius logo is coming back to Ohio, and there's going to be eyes that are saying, wait a minute, I've seen this before.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, and we are also mailing merchandise to people all over the country, and knowing that it's out there walking around is a crazy feeling.
And you guys got a bunch of stuff too, like when you went on tour, not even just for yourself, but like a bunch of other people were repping the brand and fan art and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people supported and bought merchandise and continue to wear it in all sorts of states. All the way to the other side of the Mississippi. But basically, the really, really cool thing was seeing somebody show up to a show, and then they actually would travel and come to another show on tour. And they brought us gifts and fan art and all this stuff. And that's been such a weird kind of new thing for me.
Yeah,
I
right.
never experienced that before. So it's dope to receive gifts from random people that, we were strangers a couple weeks ago, and now you feel so close to them because you're sharing these incredible moments with them, and it's both sides are never going to forget it.
Yeah, that's super dope.
A lot of first concerts ever. So a lot of fans that I met were like, this was the first concert that I ever saw, and because I was the opener, I was the first live performing act that they've ever seen, and that will never change. you know, and I can say back to them like, well, this was my first tour.
Right.
So it's like, this is my first experience in your city. And now we can share that bond. So building a relationship with fans has definitely been the most rewarding part.
Yeah, for sure. It's those things that you just remember like forever, no matter how far you go. Like I still remember like the first Chesterfest, like when we rocked there, and I was not gonna lie, I was a little nervous because where we were, I'm not gonna lie, I was the minority in the group.
Yeah.
Not only in the group, but in the group.
Right.
And I was like, I don't know how these people are gonna take it, because like we were surrounded by like just rock bands and like punk rock bands, and I was like, this is gonna be interesting, but
we were the only hip hop acts, so I mean, it wasn't like the typical shows that we're used to, for sure. It was different.
It was different, but they like soaked it up. And then, you know, they came up, they were chatting with us after, they were trying to get autographs and like stuff like that. And I was like, this is super dope. Like just to like have people embrace that. Like that's a moment that like I take with me all the time. And I'm just like,
that's awesome.
Man, this is cool. Like it was not what I expected at all.
Yeah, that's sometimes you just gotta try the thing that is different, and it doesn't always work out. I'll tell you that there's been a bunch of times that I have rock shows that were not worth my time or what have you, but it definitely, you know, you learn from each thing. And then there's some situations where it's just like, let's just give it a shot, and then you meet and you network with people or gain new fans that just stick with you forever. I mean, there was actually like those kids that got the signatures. I mean, their mom and them have been still reaching out to both of us since like years later. So you create lifelong fans at little town backyard festivals that you never thought you would.
That's what was dope too.
Yeah,
that was.
I would love to get back there. The owner was a good dude.
Yeah, for sure. No, that was dope, man. Yeah, I love these experiences. I love being a part of this collective, and just taking the journey with everybody and just seeing everybody else grow too. You know, based on things that we just share with each other. Like we've had meetings and stuff about like, working through Instagram, about networking, about saving money, crypto, to, going on tour now, like getting features. Like these are all things, that are kind of fundamentally based for this podcast, of things that, you say like, if I only knew that then, what I know now type of feeling. And it's like being a part of this collective has helped to like fast forward certain areas so that you're not just like stumbling through learning just garbage, or like having to take the scenic route to get, when you can just like literally just go from point A to point B instead of.
Yeah, and upon that journey as well, it's been just more enjoyable because we've been doing it together. I think that's honestly the biggest thing too, is that this is a hard thing to do. A lot of artists live in isolation, trying to just focus on their craft constantly. But if you have no one to celebrate the wins with, then they're not as sweet. And it definitely helps when you're in those low spots to have somebody to lean on, somebody to help out. So that's been such a rewarding part of having Minds One Collective Genius as well.
Yeah, because I think it extends, and this is for anybody that's like, thinking about like forming a group like this, whatever, but, it extends further than just like our music careers. Like it's super personal, obviously like some people have known each other for years and things like that, but even people that don't, like we all have our own personal lives. We've all had things that have happened like recently with a lot of us. And like we're all just like there and to support each other. Be like, yo, do you need this? Like, how can I help? What can I do? How can I support you through this challenging time? So it extends way further than music, which is dope to see too. Like, to actually, not that I doubted it, but it's dope to see people also be human at the same time. I think sometimes people just get so caught up in the business side of things, they forget that. But with this, collective, it still remains to be that. It still remains that people are empathetic with whatever is going on in people's lives.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, we're all human beings, man. Human being before an artist, human being before anything that you are. And it's, yeah, there's been a lot of things that, all of us have gone through, and it's absolutely beautiful to have that support system there, built in. That's not necessarily your family, or you know what I mean, your significant other. It's just somebody that understands the professional end of what you do, but recognizes you as a human.
Yeah, and then obviously on the music side, like you have that group of quote unquote cheerleaders. Like you going on tour, everybody gets hyped. Life's going on tour now.
That
And
is
seeing people just like grow and like get these opportunities and things, and get involved in different things, and like seeing that, it's like dope. Like everybody is like, you can just see everybody starting to just like climb up. It's all at different paces, which is it's just based on the person, and not to make that sound bad. Everybody is just working in their own way,
Yeah.
And have their own ascent. But you can just see, like I was even talking with Mose, like you can just see people like slowly like just pegging up, up towards where they want to go, and
Absolutely,
it hasn't stopped.
Yeah, and being able to like, help from places of experience. Like, when we went on our first tour, G2 went along with me to record all the video and stuff, and he captured like some of the most unforgettable moments of my life on that tour. So shout out G2, but he also retained all that knowledge of, being on a tour and what we experienced, so that he could like tell Life, prep him for his tour.
Right.
He's going to go, make some content for him. And he said, keep in mind, there's this happening, there's this happening. He's able to like kind of like walk Life through that, with the knowledge of actually going through it the year prior. So super cool that we have each other to take those lessons from, and that each other are willing to like help each other with those little nuggets, nuggets of knowledge.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like we don't. I've noticed like when people reach those milestones or their own personal milestones, it isn't just like they receive it and then it's just like it's mine. Like they're like, hey, like this is what happened. Like this is what I learned. Like this was dope. This sucked. This was really bad, but this was like super cool. Like it's the sharing of the knowledge. It's not just like kept, because we're all individual artists too at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of touched on it earlier in the podcast as well, of like that crash that comes after a high, and like I definitely want to explain that to anybody that's like hoping to tour or about to go on tour. Is like, it's a business, and you have to treat it as that. So as much as it's very exciting each and every night, you have to know that like eventually the lights turn on, and you're gonna have to answer for everything that goes on. So coming back after I went on tour, I didn't have a whole lot of money because I was still paying the bills back home while out on the road trying to get us around to hotels, and we had gas. And shout out 13 Ball for he had his foot on the gas pedal the whole time, and
I can imagine.
He let me worry about rapping a little bit, and he also hopped up on stage and rapped with me. So that was a crazy experience. But coming back, we had some leftover merch and a few bucks in our pocket, and it was kind of like, okay, now how do we start over from here, and hopefully work our way to be able to do that whole experience over again. But I wouldn't not do it again.
Right.
That was like, it was totally worth it. But just to like, not paint the picture that sometimes social media can paint of like everything's always amazing and whatnot. Like there's definitely equal lows to every high, and you have to be able to ride that out if you ever want to experience that high again. And the best that you can do to balance is going to lead to actual happiness, not just like the fake happiness for one night that turns into a deep depression for months later.
Right, because like, yeah, you're gone, but like life still goes on in the place that you left.
Right, yeah, you still have to pay rent and utilities to a place that you're not in for an entire month while you're out on the road, and you're paying for gas out on the road and to have a roof over your head in whatever hotel, whatever city you're in.
Right. So you're making sure that you have a roof over your head wherever you're traveling, and then also when you get back.
Right.
And it's like me, I would have definitely been like gone mental, like just all those things, like just stressing about. I know me personally.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously prepare.
Yeah.
And then you get out on the road and you're like, I'm not prepared.
Yeah, right.
But then, yeah, that's why just coming back, you have to recoup. And I tried to do the TikTok thing to stay as much as I could in everyone's eyes while still trying to work very hard to get comfortable again. But, that does a lot to your mental, you know what I mean? Yeah. Just kind of stressing on both sides. So I was burning the candle at both ends of the wick and ended up just kind of stepping away from social media altogether, which is one of the most frowned upon things in this industry, to lose momentum.
Yeah,
but I don't feel that I really lost momentum because it just charged my batteries. I was able to be a real person, have a real life. Went to like my best friend's wedding, and I've had a lot of great memories made with both my friends and my girlfriend, and now we're gonna get back into making some music. I just got in the studio with Knox Beats, who's very well known producer and engineer in New England, and he's hopefully going to help me improve a lot of aspects of my game, from just the beats that I'm rapping on, the quality of my engineering, to even just the quality of my own recordings, and what I can do better as a performer when recording a single. So I'm excited to work with him and kind of step up my craft. And then I got some music to drop on y'all, so stay tuned for that.
But that's all a part of it. It's like that level up. But you know what I'm saying? Like you taking those next steps. It's not just like, okay, tour's over. Like I feel like I've made it. This is my life. Everybody loves me type of thing. It's like, okay, now it's like you let life happen for a little bit, and then now it's like it's time to get back to work to, because you do have to get yourself right. Get that mental right. Because if you can't get in your right mind. Yeah. Because I know for me, if I'm not there, man, like the quality of what's coming out is not going to be.
Absolutely, you can smell and taste somebody that's burnt out. It's just not authentic, and that's something 13 Ball always reminded me of, was balance, because I'm very go, nose to the grindstone. Yep. My early 20s were, yes, they were spent in bars like most of my peers, but instead of just drinking at the bar, I was on stage, and I spent all of my free time recording music, and I don't regret that at all, because I probably could have learned some unhealthy habits if I didn't have something that I was sticking to, but 13 Ball had to remind me constantly, like, hey, there's balance to this. Like, you need to enjoy yourself a little bit, or take your foot off the gas pedal and relax a little bit before you're just going to get totally burnt out. Yeah. So that was definitely an important lesson to learn.
Yeah. Even in those experiences, whether it's something that wasn't necessarily what you should be doing, like meaning like, jumping on stage, going on, being at the bar or whatever, and you're like, man, like if I did something different, but like that's what you learned from it. Like, so even like going through those quote unquote negative experiences or tough experiences for anything in general, a lot of people are like, oh, that was such a sucky experience, but it's like, dude, like hopefully like you look at like what you learned from that, and then hopefully grow from that, and not just be like, take it as a loss, but like take it as a win, and as far as what you took out of it.
No, absolutely. I mean, I reflect constantly on things. My last album, Before and After, was big about reflection and also kind of like looking ahead in a hopeful manner. So it's interesting. I made the song After for how I expected after tour to feel like, and it was very very similar to that. But it also, I wonder, might have been like a self-fulfilling prophecy if I expected to feel this way after touring, and that's why it happened, because I think that you have a lot of control over the direction that your life takes based on your expectations. Everyone has to first imagine something happening before it can ever happen.
Right.
So it really goes down in your head twice. One when you think it up for the first time, and then the second time when it's actually happening and you're experiencing it. So, I mean, you can use that as a tool to your own success or happiness by just seeing where you want to take things. I mean, it's extremely specific that of all people, I went on tour with Chris Webby. I mean. That is something that, people talk about manifestation, like it's definitely a real thing. It has to be coupled with hard work, of course. You can't just wish that things would happen. You have to make a plan and then execute that plan. A movie that I recently watched, King Richard. Yeah, that was incredible to see this man had a plan, stuck to it, despite what everyone told him was going to be possible, and that's exactly how the plan happened. So definitely think up your plan first, and then just start small and execute any little things that might be a nice step in that direction. And before you know it, you're going to pick your head up after looking at your feet every step of the way, and you'll just be exactly where you plan to be.
Dope. Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely some good words to leave off on, man. Before we kind of wrap this up, what are some things that some of the fans or some of the new listeners for you can expect that you can actually share coming from you?
I'm glad you asked that question because most recently I've released a music video called Mid-20s. So go check that out on my YouTube. You can find me at Just for Kicks JFK on all social medias. But on YouTube, definitely subscribe. I have a lot of projects coming, and instead of what I have been putting out, which is more of somber feels and that sort of thing, like the Mid-20s music video was, I'm back to making some happy-go-lucky tracks. So I have a music video off of the Before and After album that'll be coming out. That's a lot of fun, and then I'm going to follow that up with more just fun-loving music, so that people can kind of have a break of the tiresome world that we've been living in. But focus on the sunshine. Focus on smelling those roses, because there is a lot out there to be appreciated.
For sure, absolutely, man. Well, man, I want to thank you for coming on here and doing this podcast, especially the first one here, and being a part, obviously being co-members of Minds of One Collective Genius. I want to thank you for your time, being here.
Thank you for having me, man, and thank you for all that you do for Minds of One Collective Genius. Seriously, you've taken a lot of weight off my shoulders and 13 balls, so a lot of the things that you might see about Minds One Collective Genius, just know that it is Jay Faith that has been taking and bearing a lot of that weight for us. So super appreciative. Could not do it without you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm glad to be a part of the team, man, and looking forward to what we cook up next, man.
Same here, man, and thank you again for having me here on Right Mind.
For sure. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, checking this out, whether you're listening to it on streaming or whether you're watching this video, just watching the video, whatever. You know what I'm saying. Appreciate all of y'all for tuning in. Thank you so much. But until next time, this is Just for Kicks. My name is Jay Faith. This is the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast. Till next time, we'll catch y'all later. What's up?